focus tree looked really enjoyable and really cool. And then, yeah, I want to experiment with some divisions and stuff like that too. So this will not be a roleplay stream, much more casual, just kind of hanging out, having fun. I'm going to test some things too. You're going to see some of the 1.9 mechanics, which last time I was told I'm allowed to stream this. So hopefully I don't get the Millennium Dawn dev team sending an unmarked van outside my house or anything like that. I hope not. That'd be very unfortunate. I'm also starting to stream a little bit late today because I had the craziest fucking render ever. I use After Effects, I use Premiere Pro to edit videos, right? And usually the process, you know, for rendering, which is where you take all the pieces, put them together and get the final video file, it tends to take a while, but nothing crazy. Usually on Premiere, it's around 30 minutes to an hour. And on After Effects, it's usually an hour or two. To for some reason, render the 1 minute long intro for the new House Torres videos, which is finally going to come out today because I got it completed just now. 7 hours. I kid you not. It took 7 hours to render 1 minute of video. I couldn't figure out what was causing it. And finally, I just went to bed really late last night. I'm like, fuck it. So, oh, that was weird. Freaking weird. Well, good to see you guys. What's up, Cheese? What's up? It's your boy. What's up, Guess? Guess I'm glad to see you didn't get banned on Twitch, only on Discord, I guess, for questionable activities. Still running checks, it is. Okay. Yeah, like I said, so this is 1.9. You're going to see some stuff which is pretty different. I haven't played in Stream Millennium Dawn in quite a while. I just kind of get into certain things and then they kind of come and go. But Millennium Dawn's new 1.9 update, I really like. It is nice. It is very, very good. They're adding a lot of cool stuff, man. Not just the focus trees, which are amazing and huge, but also the new mechanics, which I think are setting them up to do some really fun stuff. It's just, there's number one. It's so clear how different Millennium Dawn is from HOI4. I mean, they literally made their own game. Like the devs just looked at it and were like, you know what? Let's just take HOI4 and let's make the modern day game people have wanted, but can't get because Paradox or other groups won't make it. They really just did make it. It's kind of crazy. Big new mechanics mechanically. International arms market does not work, by the way. It's going to be the energy system. It's going to be the employment and unemployment system. It's going to be obviously the addition of the airplane designers, which, oh my god, it's cool, but the GFX for the icons are crazy. What's up, OES? And Turkey strong. There's a couple other mechanics too. I'm trying to remember what they were. We'll see them soon enough. Turkey's going through an economical crisis right now. We need to ensure our people and the government can get through this. So I'm taking us down the conservative right-wing path. We're gonna go, the focus tree apparently has the ability to rebuild the Ottoman Empire, and I wanna try and do it just for fun. Like I said, there's no role playing today. Just fun. So we're gonna go at really high speeds too. Really, I just wanna experiment with some stuff, as I said. Dockyards, destroyers. I know they've made more changes again to naval mechanics. I need to take a sit down and look through that. After my recent tutorials, I kind of know how to read Paradox Spaghetti code. That's a very generous statement, but I know how to read it a little bit, so. And I know that Millennium Dawn's Defiance changed a lot of the naval mechanics quite dramatically, actually. Let's see, basic infantry equipment. Defense companies do work, though, in 1.9, which is nice. They're obviously the really good new feature out against the Arms Against Tyranny DLC, the new DLC for HOI4 itself, which I don't think it's a bad DLC. It's a bit overpriced, but the mechanics they had are really cool. The international arms market is great. And then the, what's it called? The defense companies themselves are really cool. It's a great idea. I would much rather have gotten, obviously, a proper economy system and trading overhaul, but I'm kind of thinking that at this point, probably won't happen before HOI5. Kind of looks that way right now. Which is a tragedy, but kind of to be expected. It is fundamentally a war simulator, but I do wish that it's kind of showed how important economy is in a war simulator, you know? Free Palestine. Oh, let's not hit the Israel-Palestine thing today. Books. There's gonna be no good that comes out of that discussion. Just a lot of hurt feelings out of a horrible situation. So let's just leave that one at the door. Ah, fuck, dude. I'm sure a lot of y'all have been following it. I know how I have. Okay, all of our basic equipment. Show you a couple of focus trees too, in case you're interested. Am I allowed to do that? I think so. Turkey's tree is fucking huge. It's really well made, really nice. Russia's tree, the new one, is gigantic, so big. I won't be playing Russia. I thought about it because their tree is so nice and it's huge and it's really well made. The mechanics are interesting, but I don't think I'm gonna play Russia until the war's over in Ukraine. Dude, I feel weird. I just wouldn't feel right. Even if I did like a democratic overhauled Russia, I still feel fucking weird, man. And then India's finally got their tree, which is really nice. Big. Anyway. Right. The Turkey's actually pretty rushed at the start. I did a little test run the other night because I was curious just very quickly in the beginning. They've got really fun mechanics, notably obviously the PKK, which are obviously the Kurdish Revolutionary Freedom Forces, fighting for a proper larger Kurdish nation, of which the southeastern portion of Turkey includes. So some of these areas are heavily dominant by Kurds. This region was historically kind of seen as theirs. And they are involved in, you know, terrorism gets thrown around a lot, but a lot of violent activities, we'll say that. Typical HOI4 player sees a chance to reform an empire that is actually decent hundreds of years ago and does that path. Dude, I'm not playing a roleplay game, so if I can have, you know, a day where I can just fuck around and stomp on some countries for fun, I'm gonna take it. I love roleplay campaigns, but every once in a while, you know, you kind of want to take the gloves off. You feel me? You want to take the gloves off. You want to reform a despotic empire, and you want to do some horrible things. I mean, you're right. It is the typical HOI4 play, but I suppose. Okay. I don't know why Turkey starts with all these no fighting strength tank divisions. It's so odd. They start with high experience levels, which is nice, at least. You start with some okay commanders. Not amazing. Basic stuff. Deploy planes. Their economy is really rough. So the big new feature I want to experiment a bit with, and I have been experimenting with, but I want to do it a bit more just to get used to it so I can explain it properly, is the energy system, which is the feature I've been most excited for Millennium Dawn for a while. It's been in development for years, actually. It was delayed off of a couple updates just because I don't think they could balance it quite right. I mean, it's a very big feature to add into this game. Essentially, it means all your buildings now will require energy to use, right? I mean, like, you know, a factory doesn't work if you don't power it, obviously. You know, pretty basic stuff. But both your civs, your mills, your office sectors, and your naval yards all require energy to be powered. If you do not meet the energy requirement and you do not have energy in your stockpiles, none of them work. So it's like all those buildings just disappear. They're not deleted, but until you have the energy to fund them again, they're not working, which obviously will destroy your economy. It also reduces your stability. It has a bunch of negative effects. I played around a lot with that actually last week or so. It's bad. You gotta have energy, much like any country. I mean, think about it in the news in the modern day whenever a country announces, like, you know, energy shortages, right, or oil shortages. It was a really big deal during COVID in the US, for example, and we had to dip into our energy supplies, which, to put it in this game's terms, right, would be your fuel stockpile. It's a big deal. You don't want to screw around with that. We don't have enough energy at the start as Turkey, so let's trade for a bit. We'll do the Russia route. Actually, at least I think 2 is probably enough. If we don't train our military, I won't do naval drills quite yet, so we need to develop a bit. Debt's really rough at the start as Turkey as well, and it will spiral. You can't make enough in the beginning. Play as Putin and steamroll Europe. Nah. I do need to do a Ukraine playthrough. That's one I do need to do. Kick Russia's ass. I don't know, man. It's meaningless, but it's just... It's the same reason in roleplay games back when I played HOI4. I never really liked playing fascist countries or leaders. Dude, I don't want to get in the headspace of that. Just not interested. We're looking good here. There's a system for the Turkish armed forces. You have to keep them happy. We are going to go nationalist, though, like I said. So we want to take rise of Turkish nationalism. We start off with stagnation. We start off with really high corruption, which we need to lower. If we get rid of our corruption, we actually almost run a surplus, I think. I'm going to delete a bit of our military as well. Just for the income. Your navy is not bad starting off either. It's really not bad as Turkey. I mean, they do have a considerable navy, but they do have one in the modern era. 24 frigates, 6 corvettes, and 10 attack submarines. Very small light fleet, right? Very much, very tiny. There are going to be new, I can never know what I should and shouldn't talk about. I'm allowed to play this and stream it and stuff, but I want to be careful. Spirit-wise, we have liberal society, NATO member, multi-ethnic state, guards of Kemalism. Turkish military sees itself as defenders of the Republic and as secular Kemalist ideas. The military has intervened in Turkish politics many times for the existence of the Republic and are ready to do so again if they feel their values are threatened. However, they are often peacefully ceding power back to the people after their intervention. Turkish Mafia, this is a real pain in the ass to deal with. It's like the Italian Mafia system, just a bunch of basically dice rolls to get rid of them, and they really fuck you over, so we gotta be careful. We've got Turkish media, which there's a mechanic to control it or keep it free. Kurdish troubles, dealing with the Kurds in the east. Prime Minister Bülent Ecevit is already an elderly person, and there are rumors that his health is failing. There are also rumors that the Deputy Prime Minister, Hüsamettin Özkan, oh boy, is part of the group of the DSP MPs who are planning to oust Ecevit due to his health and inefficient administration. These sort of rumors and dissidents inside the party are poison to the government's ability to function. Pulling Özkan out publicly would force him to leave the party, but may make MPs go with him. This is cool. There's a mechanic where you can basically just get rid of your deputy prime minister, but he forms a new party, which will really dilute the power of the DSP, which is fun and fuck you over. What's up, Pricey? What's up, Modus? Speaking of Turkey, Erdogan has today announced, or this week, that Hamas is not a terrorist group, but a resistance group. Yeah, Turkey always has to play up the Islamic nationalism, you know. They are much more secular-ish, not as much as they used to be. But he still needs to, you know, walk that divide between the West and NATO and the EU, and then obviously the Arab countries and the Middle Eastern countries, which Turkey does work with some notable exceptions to varying degrees. I mean, they are one of the wealthiest, you know, modern Middle Eastern countries, Arabic countries. They're not technically Middle Eastern, are they? Gray area. That word is used so loosely these days. Alrighty. The spy agency going. I'm going to do all the researches to start off with for research speed. In the beginning, you're not going to fight wars in Millennium Dawn almost ever, with a couple exceptions, so always just get your research speed, just like regular HOI4. Like in regular HOI4, there's a reason that you always take the industrial researches to start off with, the research speeds. Same with Millennium Dawn. No reason not to. When our GDP gets up to 1 trillion, we'll be able to get another research slot too, which we're really close to. For construction, I'm going to develop infrastructure and network infrastructure in Eastern Thrace, which increases construction speed, and then just build a bunch of civs there. Much like HOI4, always build infrastructure and network infrastructure first, just to increase your research speeds. If you could build a lot of factories there. So for example, you would not want to probably build it, for example, here, because you can only build 4 more buildings, so it's not worth the efficiency. But here, where you can build another 14, and here where you can build another 10, you'd want to. Plus more later, right? It's a single player. I am going to play in the upcoming multiplayer game for the server, but that's a couple months away, actually. I'd say end of November at the earliest, probably sometime in December. Our nation has seen it all: wars, conquests, humiliation, glory, and everything in between. The dawn of the new millennium is upon us, and the Turkish nation cannot afford to falter. We must adapt and adjust to our new times, otherwise our state may be swept by the winds of history. Our next presidential election is coming up shortly, and the victor will decide if we hold on to Ataturk's dream for a great Turkish republic. Like I said, I do want to go nationalist, so we're not going to probably do most of our generic democratic focus tree. I am going to take the first one, because it gives us a bunch of political power, which we sorely need. The future of Turkey will be dictated by the social democracy and Western values. I'm not going to import new resources because I want us to develop our economy. I'm not too worried about developing a bunch of, frankly, outdated military tech. So, no big issue. There's like Russia into different countries. How do you mean, Pricey? The one focus tree I really do want to do for Russia, though, is the Soviet one. Their new Soviet tree is so fucking big, dude, and it's really good. Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah, their Soviet tree is really fun. I would like to do a playthrough of that someday. In a couple of years. And hopefully the war is done if it doesn't drag out forever. Expected laws are a new thing as well. Basically, if you don't implement the laws people want, they get very upset, they get radicalized, and they start to cause problems for your government, which you can see here. The UI is not the best, but it's pretty clear. So for example, they're expecting us to spend, go up 2 more spending-wise on policies for administration. Like it is on level 2 here, as you can see, and it's expected to be a level 4. So you should have a centralized bureaucratic state, which we will do. The problem is they've really nerfed administration. It used to be in Millennium Dawn, it gave you no downsides. It just gave you more political power. Now it decreases your construction speed by quite a lot, so it's a lot less useful than it used to be. But that political power is so key, especially for a country like us that makes so little, right? We've got some problems. Some of our national spirits are really screwing us over here, so. Speed here. 12% unemployment. Need more buildings. This I think is still being worked on. I don't know if it's bugs or like the menu itself is giving me the wrong data, but for example, it says that worker fulfillment is maxed out, but there's unemployment. I guess that just means that you need more buildings. It's like in Vic 3, when like all your factories are being used, but you have just a bunch of excess people who aren't working. And obviously this game doesn't have subsistence industries, right? So we just straight up need more buildings. 12.8, let's see what that says after we get our first new factory here. Eric, don't say that cursed fucking name, I swear to God. All right. The detective of one of the rural cities has reported that he has found a potential Mafia hideout. Police force is quickly trying to scramble to get a response as they don't know what will be in the hideout, or even if it is a Mafia hideout. So this is you get this in like one other event repeatedly for Turkey. You basically can let them get more influence, which you really don't want to do, because it'll cause problems. You can see here the Turkish Mafia, 45 influence. You need to get that down to 0 to get rid of them. There's part of your focus tree for targeting it. So you can either get a 50-50 good or bad chance or spend PP to get a much higher chance of succeeding. I'm not going to spend the PP because we need it right now to get our budget actually balanced. So we're going to wait. We also do have a trillion GDP, so I'm going to go ahead and get us a new research slot. Update comes out in November 22nd, I believe. Jeez, it's on the Millennium Dawn Discord. You can always see their updates. They're very good at keeping updates on that for their events. Productivity is the other really cool economic metric they're adding, which essentially will give you bonuses or deficits to your output and your construction speed and your tax income based on basically how modern your economy is. So it's based off of your market cycle. So if you're in a depression or in a good market cycle, your overall tech levels, how many buildings you have and other things. And if it's low, you get a decrease. So our economy is very outdated, which makes sense. Turkey, especially in 2000, did not really have a very modern economy in many ways. And it gets better. Whereas a country like the US has, I think, like 1400 productivity. So it's the opposite. They're getting an output boost of like 30% for everything. So it makes it so tech and your market cycle matter even more. And it kind of can get away from you. So if you start very undeveloped, it'd be rough. Very, very, very rough. I'm going to do one more focus here too, because I want to get the increase to industrial conglomerates opinions. They really don't like us. Just a reminder, the internal factions have a lot of influence and they do give you some very good or bad things depending on if they like you or not. The industrial conglomerates do not like us right now, so we're not getting really any bonuses out of them. We're getting deficits actually. So it is decreasing our resource gain, our infrastructure speed. They're not the most impactful ones, so it's not the worst, but making them like us more would be good. Plus we need that political power, like I said. Primarily, we're trying to reduce corruption at the start. Any Millennium Dawn playthrough you do, unless you're really role-playing, decrease your corruption. It's a fucking killer, man. It is a killer. You're playing Millennium Dawn. Nice. Making German right. Fuck. Germany, I should be getting their new focus tree with this next update too, I believe. Their current tree is not horrible, but it's very outdated, right? This thing's been around forever. I've been playing this mod for like 3 or 4 years now, and it's been the same. It was a very solid tree, just very simple. Very basic. You can get through it by like 2006 usually, 2008. First Agents. Spy Hunter is really good. It's one of the unique traits Millennium Dawn gives you, so we'll keep that. Yeah, Panzer, I'm doing the Ottoman path, just to test it out. Did you guys see that giant hit we took to stability there when we ran out of oil? Dude, it sucks. You can't run out of fuel. Let's import a little bit more. It means countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, Nigeria, Canada, countries like that are so much more powerful in Millennium Dawn now because they have all that oil that can be exported. And the AI will import oil because it has to, right? It's not like certain goods the AI will pick and choose and be like, oh, I don't know, maybe I want it. No. After this update, the AI's economy will collapse without fuel. It knows that, and it will import fuel from you. Period. So, that's nice. We really just don't getting enough fuel. That's a problem. Oh boy. See that stability hit? The PKK has launched an attack on our unit stationed in the Kurdistan region in an attempt to push them out. This has increased their strength, and if it keeps up, then the PKK will eventually break off. We are going to launch a counterattack. It costs us small arms, utility vehicles, and will decrease their strength. That's the Kurds, obviously. I'm not role-playing, and even if I was, we'd still just bash on them. Argentina. Venezuela's getting a tree. Brazil's tree is still just fucking monstrously great. What's up, Kala? How are you doing? What is up? It has been a while. Hope you are doing well in the land of lakes. Discord or Twitch account, guess? Why are you losing all your accounts? I gotta do another Brazil playthrough sometime. For the next multiplayer Millennium Dawn game we do, my first pick will be France. It won the poll I put up on my YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, let me release that video. It should be done updating now. Yes, it is. Good. I'll actually release that really quickly. Like I said, dude, that was crazy. 7 hours to render 1 minute of the intro part of this new video. I've never seen it been that bad before. Just crazy. I think part of it, my GPU is getting a little outdated, but it's not that outdated. It really isn't. Gotta be careful what effects I'm using in After Effects from now on. What's up, Lollipop? Oh, the band one. Yeah. Still not making enough fuel. Oh god, all of our SIDs are gonna go into importing fuel here. It's not what we want. We don't extract any. Yeah, we're gonna just kind of get railed here. We will have no construction ability. See, let me pause it. This is why you get fuel after the update. Look at that deficit we had when all of our factories went offline because we couldn't fucking fuel the economy. Now, there are ways to get around this. I'm trying to avoid it. So you can do power restrictions, which will decrease your power usage while also decreasing your construction speed, decreasing your revenue, and decreasing your political power game. The way that you make your economy more efficient to deal with this, which I'm trying to avoid doing, it will be one of our first techs, not this one, is the fuel processing part of the research tree now. So notably, this series here, which decreases their consumption, and then there is the fuel refining, as well as the advanced control integration. These are the ones you really want. Advanced control integration is really fucking nice. It decreases overall power grid power usage, and does that for a couple different of your buildings as well. And then obviously the fuel efficiency for fossil fuel. You can generate fossil fuel either directly from oil, or you get it from fossil fuel plants or from renewable energy plants, which both give you fuel. They are very different though. Renewable energy is 10 times less efficient. Even a bit, Solster. What's up, man? 10 times less efficient. So you get 0.5 gigawatts for 50,000 construction cost versus fossil fuels, which you get 1 gigawatt, which is double the energy, for 10,000 construction costs, which is 1/5 of the cost. So it's 10 times more efficient to build fossil fuel plants, which is a great way of showing just why so many countries are resistant towards going towards green energy, despite the fact it's going to kill all of our grandkids and their great grandkids and stuff. But, you know, it is expensive and it's not as efficient. You're welcome, Panzer. You're welcome. Loving the long hair? It's gotten pretty fucking long, Ulster. The Babylonian News Network thing looks really cool. Yeah, Jay started that. Jay and Eli, they've been doing some really amazing stuff with that. It's really cool to see. Where did my music go? Yeah, those are just going to be done for all the campaigns, which is, I think, a great way of just kind of keeping things interesting, setting the standards for roleplay all that. So it's been really cool to see them do that. I am a News Anchor 3, Augustine Ayers, which is fun. That's great. I don't do the editing for it. I just get to do voice lines every week, which is so fun. During an ongoing search, the police have found a large cache stored in a warehouse. Several people in the community are urging the police to track down where the weapons cache came from and arrest the people involved. We will do it, but I'm not investing more PP. We need that PP so bad. The 2000 presidential election is at hand in Turkey. The president is chosen by the parliament. In order for one candidate to win, they must receive 2/3 majority in one of the 2 rounds. If there is no victor, the 3rd round can be won by a simple majority. If there is still no clear winner, a 4th round is held where one of the 2 most popular candidates must achieve a majority. If there still isn't a victory, a snap election must be held to break the deadlock. At the moment, each parliament party is running their own candidate. It seems very unlikely that any of them will come out on top. So we can negotiate with the deputy prime minister who's been causing us issues and threatening to form his own party, or we can just get rid of him. We're gonna hope for the best, and we're going to get rid of Deputy Prime Minister Oskin. Thank you for the sub, Eli. What is up? Yeah, Eli is actually the one who's been doing the editing for those Babylon News Network videos. They're so fucking good, man. Top tier. Can I show the helicopter designer very briefly? We actually don't have helicopters. I can only show you the air designer. It's fun. It's good. The icons are giving me cancer as we speak, but it's very well done. A lot of cool stuff here. Oh god, you should see the researches for air now. I did a sit down and look through all the modifiers on them because I'm making an air guide. Holy fuck, dude! Look at this. Say many things about Millennium Dawn and their devs, but you can't say they are not so fucking thorough and in-depth. My god, arguably too much so. If I barely knew how to play HOI4 and I downloaded this mod and I looked at the screen, my next choice would be to do this. But, you know. So my guide will help. Woo! You should pick the second path? Which one, Charles? You should have some air to civilian house missiles for the 2023 meta. I said this was casual. I refuse to metagame. I refuse to. We might do a little metagaming, but not a lot. See if I can even metagame in Millennium Dawn. It's been a while. Alright, that's all I wanted out of this tree. I just wanted the political power to get us closer towards removing corruption levels. What do you go for economic reforms? The economy is in shambles and we quickly need to improve it. Right now, the economy relies heavily on foreign investment, which is something we need to change. What do you mean? Relying on Western loans and Western investments has never gone wrong anywhere. Just look at Africa. It's the poster child for the power of international loans and investments developing parts of the world which need it. I don't know what they're complaining about. It's clearly the perfect basis to develop a modern economy. No candidate managed to gather the required 2/3 vote of the first 2 rounds of the required majority in the 3rd round. The contest has now been narrowed down to candidates from DSP and FP. It's still very unlikely that either candidate will win, making a snap election very likely. Of course, we can announce our support for the FP candidate is practically a political suicide. We're going to try and stay in power here. Bro, I am brain dead enough for vanilla designs. I am screwed. It's not hard to make like solid division templates that can really do well. If you want to play multiplayer, those divisions, that's a whole different thing. But after Esevit publicly called out the Deputy Prime Minister, Ozkan announced that he was resigning from his position in Parliament and in the party. In a later held press conference, he announced he would be retiring from politics altogether to spend more time with his family. We got the good one. The other one is that he splits, forms a new party, and screws us. So we got the good one. I'm going to ban the FP too. They are a Islamist, not fundamentalist, but they're an Islamic party which is on the emerging outlook. And I do want us to stay Western for the beginning. So we go hardcore nationalists. Should name a military unit to Mehmed the First Division after the great leader Mehmed the Conqueror. You've been talking to Imbo too much, Charles. There should be an event in 2014 for Erdogan's palace, making you lose $10 billion. What's up, Denise? They might have something like that. This is a pretty thorough tree. There's a lot of interesting events I found when I did my little playthrough as well. Counterattack, the PKK. You can go Grey Wolves too. That's an option if you're a nationalist. Fuck. With support from the ruling DSP, the FP candidate. Oh god, I'm gonna butcher this. Nevzat Yeltsintis, I apologize for that, has won the presidential election and will surely boost the popularity of the FP. That is very bad. I was trying to avoid that. Yeah, emerging outlook got way more power here. Unfortunate. In the end, it won't matter. In the end, we're still going to be nationalists, but still. Not what I was looking for there. The Western focus tree does have some really good stuff in the beginning, which we want. You want to metagame the focus tree for Turkey, by the way? Literally just cycle your parties and go through all the different political trees you want before the one you actually want. I'm disgusted at myself for saying this, but if you want to metagame the tree as it stands right now and just get uber strong, literally you don't get locked off to your political trees when you change parties. So like you choose your final party. Let's say we want an ingoing like Ottoman nationalist, right? So we want this one. Literally just cycle your parties so you can go through the focus trees of all the other ones first and take their best like focuses. And then just cycle through them, right? So go Democratic, go Emerging Outlook, go Libertarian, go with the military, go Communist Pre-Flake, just get all their focuses, and then go for the one you finally want. Which I think is doable. I tested a little bit of it the other day, and it does work that way. Saves coming? Disgusting. Disgusting. We're running out of oil again. Fuck me. Oh boy. We're holding on. Just barely. The skin of our teeth. Riding that Turkish dragon economy. Fuck. Alright, let's cut pensions. That'll balance our economy a little bit better. A lot of our upcoming focuses are gonna cost so fucking much though. They hit you pretty hard with those. All your economic reforms after this one, I believe, have like associated cost, which a lot of focus trees don't do, and they should. I really do like these node focus trees. I really like how they've been done. They're not as generous to you. Well, Millennium Dawn focus trees are fun, but they let you get away with murder. Like this, for example, you have to choose between loans, and you do have to pay it back. And then these focuses down here start to cost you money. 7 billion. Where is it? I know there's some huge ones down here. 10 billion, 14 billion, 14 billion. 7 billion, which I mean, when you go into a debt spiral, which is what this is supposed to indicate, you do have to take out loans and you do have to spend. If you don't, you get even more fucked. Not always, but almost always. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go for advanced control integration next. I'm actually gonna take it over construction too, because all of our fucking civs, a bunch of our civs are being used to import oil. So if we can make our power grid more efficient, Oh, that will save us a lot of civs, so we're gonna go for that. That's probably one of the most important parts of your research tree now, I'd say. What's up, Lady Gray? How are you doing? The nerd mod? Haters will hate. This is a great mod. It is the best HOI4 mod. One of the videos I'm making for the 1.9 update is a full like review video for Millennium Dawn as well, which I know will be pretty funny considering I simped this mod so hard, but I am going to actually talk about its bad features, and it does have bad features. Maximize the police force. We should. Maximizing the police force will allow us to directly hit the Mafia, which we want to do. So we actually should, but we'll see. Number one thing I want to do is try and balance the budget. You know what's interesting? Is I always find myself surprised by how conservative I can be with economic policy. I mean, I know these are just games, but in all the games I play, although I am for like large amounts of like public spending on things like that, I also really do. It's the same. So weird, man. I'm just so influenced by American politics. Old school Republicans, like like 2010, really pre-Palin era, really. I actually did like a lot when I read about them and when I was younger, because I really am a believer in balancing the budget, which is, it's been such a big proponent for American conservatives and a lot of conservative parties in the world. Whether they actually do it is questionable, but like, you know, pre-Palin modern Republican Party in America, there's a lot about their economic policy I like. Not the trickle-down economics, which is complete bullshit, but like not the austerity parts either, but like maintaining a solid budget where you're not massively spending, deficit spending. I'm a very big believer of that in any economy, but in real life, in video games, and anything you play, there are times you need to and have to deficit spend and take big amounts of debt, because debt's not innately a bad thing. You shouldn't always like just maintain a perfect balance. That is categorically in the modern world, I don't think a very good thing for a country, but not allowing your debt to spiral and getting it back under control, that is very important to do. I try and do it in all my games. I like political parties that try and do that sort of thing as well. Fortunately, they don't exist in America right now. What's up, the Master? How are you doing? They're gonna tell the government old stories and life lessons? No, they're fine. They're all in nursing homes. They can't complain. I just had lunch with my grandparents. My grandpa was spouting stories from the 80s and giving advice the entire time. Yes, that sounds accurate. That sounds very accurate. You want the gold to back the dollar again? Like you don't. No, you don't. You may think you do, but you don't. Fuck. We have to raise our pension spending. This is when you have to make the hard decisions. This is what fucking Millennium Dawn and other HOI4 mods need more of. No just like magical focuses that give you good modifiers and free shit. You should have a bunch of your focuses be two really shitty options you have to make the choice on. These are in some of Millennium Dawn's focus trees. I wish there were more of them. Like, both of these are shit. Lose domestic independence by 5%, which will fuck you over politically, and get money, essentially, right? Or increase your domestic independence and lose money. And you have two options for IMF loans, both of which will increase your debt by a lot when you already have some, which you have to do, which will balance your stability a little bit, which you need, right? And then increasing, you know, spending on something you don't want to. These should be like in more focus trees, not just in Millennium Dawn too, but them I hold to a higher standard because they have made a higher standard in my mind for focus trees. There should be more that make you just have to choose a lot of shitty decisions before you can get to anything good. And far too many focus trees and mods don't do that. It's just a bunch of magical modifiers that fix your country immediately, which is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Alright, let's see if there's anything else I want here. Stability bonuses would be really nice. Removing the Islamic ulama would be nice, but we are going Ottomans. And it's not like Islamic fundamentalists ever caused any problems for the Ottoman Empire. Am I right, boys? Ottoman coughing sounds. That would be very fucking good. We're gonna take this. Like I said, I'm gonna abuse the tree a little bit here. The DSP represents the idea of democratic left, a term coined by SVIT to link leftist values with national cultural heritage. In other words, Kemalism mixed with democratic socialism that fit the situation of contemporary Turkey. Our party can attract both leftists and Kemalist voters. This is why I like and find, especially European parties, but also just any government with actual parliamentarian systems where there's a lot of different parties that can get power and move in and out of power, so much more interesting. Like the faction forming blocks that a lot of countries in Europe have, which obviously America doesn't, right? We will always have the two parties, for a long time at least. It's so much less interesting than these sorts of systems, where you have these parties that will kind of just rise and fall, form coalitions, come in and out of power, and things like that. It makes it more chaotic. There are some downsides, but not only is it more interesting, but it means a lot of policy gets just so much more actual fucking focus. Why Turkey? Because their new tree is really fun, Ebis, and I wanted to test some things out. That is why. Attach that. Can you print money and increase inflation? Absolutely can. Absolutely can. Two really shitty opinions to choose as Americans. We excel at this. True. Absolutely. Yeah, Turkey's tree is really, really fun. And they're such an interesting nation. Their geographical location is just so uniquely important and interesting. We'll go for 3G. When you play Millennium Dawn, the most important part of your research tree is you need to get #1 computing, most important tech chain. Internet second, artificial intelligence third. With this update after 1.9, your 4 is going to be this liner right here. Make sure you always do these, and then construction. My opinion. If you stack those, you'll do all right. Why are we running out of oil again? Jesus. All right, I really don't want to put cuts in place here, but we might have to. Can't. God damn. Our economy is a hungry beast. Is there an invade Israel focus? There is. There absolutely is, Coco. Let me find it. Saw it before. There's a couple different ones, actually. I know where one is. I thought there was another unique one, though. That one check. Okay, I know where one of them is. The one we're going down, actually. Hold on. Yeah, so Islamic victory, you can go down to liberate Palestine, or she'll go to war with Israel. I think there's another, though. Is there not? There's actually not. Let me skip this song. This is the sus one. Okay, so there is actually only one. If you go down the Islamic fundamentalist path, you can free Palestine and invade them. I thought there was another, but there appears to not be. Wait. Yeah, here we go. The Great East. You can also invade like all your neighbors to the Middle East for that one too. Also a very Islamic focused one, but there's a couple ways you can go about that. Yep. Zane. How does the oil work now? So energy. All your buildings use energy now. All of them. All your mills, all your civs, all your naval yards, and all your office sectors. Yes. So if you hover over them, it'll show their energy consumption. 0.2 for office complexes, 0.4 for military, 0.4 for civs, and 0.4 for naval yards. So office sectors are actually more efficient when it comes to those things, but they also don't produce anything besides income, right? So we're not going to become more corrupt. We did just get fast growth though. That's really lucky. Nice. But anyway, they all cost energy, and then you gain energy. You can hover over these, I believe. Yes, you can. Fossil fuel power, that comes from these buildings, fossil fuel plants. Or you can also do renewable energy plants, which are less efficient, way less efficient. So, yep. You have to balance it. If you have a surplus, you're fine. You'll build up your fuel stockpiles, your energy stockpiles, and your economy will run completely smoothly. If you go into a deficit and it goes to 0, your stability collapses, all your buildings stop working, and your economy will just implode, essentially. To get around this, you can basically put restrictions on power in place, so use less power, which will decrease your political power gain, your construction speed, and your tax revenue. Very bad. Or you can use more consumption of power, which will increase your political power, construction speed, and tax revenue. So you want to surplus the power. Gives you a lot of bonuses. Nuclear energy, like power plants, will also generate energy for you, and they're very efficient. So nuclear power is really the way to go. Yeah. Not as simple as that. A little bit more to it, but that's the basic. Erdogan's not in power, Zane. This is 2000. It's Ecevit. I'm sorry I'm butchering his name. Let me read his thing really quickly. Bülent Ecevit is a senior politician who has been active in the Turkish political scene since the 1950s. Rising to leadership in the CHP, he eventually became prime minister in 1972, succeeding İsmet, not these names, İnönü. His government ordered the invasion of Cyprus in 1974, where he gained the nickname Conqueror of Cyprus. Following the military coup of 1980, Ecevit was incarcerated and banned from politics, eventually rejoining the scene in 1987 by taking the chairman position of the DSP from his wife, Razan. Finally, in 1999, he regained the position of Prime Minister of Turkey after his party's popularity soared with the capture of the PKK leader, Abdullah Öcalan. Ecevit is also an adamant poet and writer, having written many blogs on many subjects and translating many poems into Turkish. Ecevit never finished his university degree, making it impossible for him to ever run for president. You need a university degree to run for president in Turkey? Is that actually a thing? I don't know if I really like that or really hate that. That's interesting. Is that real? Huh. You need a university degree. I really don't know how I feel about that. On the one hand, theoretically, it's nice to have educated, intelligent people. On the other hand, some of the most fucking stupid people, the worst opinions I've met, have been at university. So I don't know. Oh, about that. Erdogan couldn't show his diploma. Really? Wow, I didn't know that. That's super cool. I have very mixed feelings, but that is... Do any other countries do that? That's just such an alien concept to me. Oh. And he goes to a different high school. You wouldn't have heard of it. Like his girlfriend. Try to avoid that debt just spiraling, which is starting to do right now. Let's do counter-terror trading. Let's raid some terrorist hideouts. We have the CP for it. Training missions to Iraq. We want all the ones on our border, essentially. I think there's a few others we can do. Oh. Ah, there we go. Okay. We want to send one to Afghanistan. Uzbekistan. Also, Mage, if you want to text wall me with Turkish political stuff or economic stuff, like, go right ahead. If you feel like it. Or correct anything you see that's incorrect. I'm not doing a roleplay campaign, but feel free. There's an entire meme where they show his university friends in a photo, but the photo is empty because he didn't want go to university. Like, is it just like bachelor's level you need, or do you need like a full-on like master's or like PhD level? Is there any limits on that? Beautiful. Beautiful. Repair relations with the left. The leftists and socialists in Turkey have been demonized in Turkey for decades for daring to support the Kurds. People should be free to voice their opinions, regardless of their ideology. We need to work towards opening up the political field to more parties. I'm abusing this purely for that modifier. Just a bachelor's. Interesting. Alright, let's start training this agent. Who would have, like, no fucking spy agency? Syria. We'll train it in Syria. Little advice on metagaming your spies. If you put your spy to build intel network, which is the most efficient way to level up their XP gain, if you put them in countries that don't build a spy agency, they're not getting captured. So if you put them in countries to just build a spy network that do not have the SIDS to build a spy network, you're just going to level them up for free. Free real estate, really. And in Millennium Dawn, your spy level can actually go up to 4. They can get very competent. So, yeah. Pick countries that won't build a spy agency. Syria, anyone in Africa who's not a big country, etc. Little meta game there. Good spies are very powerful, especially in Millennium Dawn. We actually succeeded in that raid. Nice. Political power. Good. We need 300 to lower corruption levels, which I'm trying to get to here. Trade agreement with the US. Sure. Let's see if that actually stays. Some of these. Is there a focus for a thing for drones? Oh, I'm sure there is. Let me look. Let me see. Drone program. Yeah, of course there are. Oh yeah, Qatar drones. Let me play that song. I don't think it gets you in trouble, does it? The Baraktir song. Play it really quickly. It is a good song. I can't find it. Wasn't there a Turkish song for the Baraktir drone? Does anyone know? I remember hearing like a really fun one a while back. This is not multiplayer, this is single player. I don't know. Multiplayer will be for a while. I don't thank you enough for introducing me to grand campaigns because I just reached what I believe is the climax of mine and it's magnificent. One of my recent characters died from stress after becoming a lunatic and getting seduced by his distant cousin rival. Then his son took over and got murdered by a Prussian teenager. Thereafter, the absolute Gigachad of a man, Petru II, the Iron Fury, inherited the kingdom while still a child and secured the Mediterranean. What a game. Dude, it sounds like fucking fun. You get those golden rulers once in a while in your grand campaign, and they make everything so fun. Glad you're having fun with it. It's about to curse. It comes out in like 3 weeks. Group of officers stumbled upon a suspicious cargo container, and once they opened it, they were astonished. Large quantity of illegal drugs were smuggled into the country through an unknown network. Not spending political power. We need it. How's our economy? Ooh, I've almost bounced the budget. Let's go. Mafia gained more influence. So obviously the defense companies that allow you to specialize your production of goods, which is from Arms Against Tyranny, very good update. That does work in Millennium Dawn. Do note though, they cost money to do. So don't just click these buttons, especially if you're like us right now and need to like balance your budget and be careful of your interest rate. Every upgrade to one of your defense companies does have an associated cost of 2 billion. I think it's dependent on your total economy actually. So don't just click these buttons because you see shiny button. Be very careful. If you have a very good economy, you know, you're not worrying about your money, sure, don't worry about it, but be warned. No, they did not have a focus tree before Curse. It is the Ukrainian bacteria song. All right, I'm gonna play it. Here it is. I think this is the right one.
Прийшли окупанти до нас в Україну, форма новенька, воєнні машини, та трохи поплавився їх інвентар.
It's a song about the Turkish drones getting sent to Ukraine for the war. That's the one. Like, Bush one? Okay, do I want anything else from their focus tree? I don't think so. Oh yeah. Disarmament program. Our turbulent history shows that we have given too much power to the military. We need to reduce our military spending and focus more on our own matters. Decrease our military spending, which will increase our, to balance the budget a little bit more. And then we're going to be able to go to these next two focuses, which are really good. Mafia being huge in the state is a long-term fact in 2000. I didn't know the Turkish Mafia was so big of a deal. Are they still a big deal, Denise, in Turkey? Or did they kind of get dealt with? Oh yeah, Iranian civil war. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is currently fighting the Freedom Movement, which is a non-aligned social democratic uprising. Fucking based. I don't think we can send volunteers, though. Nope. I don't want to send a Natasha ever, because we need it for decreasing corruption. So, we'll just watch. We'll watch them fuck themselves up. Back in the day, they had more power. Gotcha. We're going Ottoman curse. Anyway, that's the song about the Turkish drones. Not bad. It's catchy. Not much we can really do here, so we make some more upgrades. Macro computing, research bonuses. Immediately go right into improved computing. Unemployment rate is going down of our new buildings. More investments from China. Nice. That is a lot. Office complexes, I would argue in the beginning, are actually the best unit to get foreign investment in because they are enormously expensive to build. They're actually more expensive even than the civs, and the income they give will just let you do so many more things in the early part of the game. Oh, look at that. We're almost in a surplus. Drug issue may be the highest it's ever been, though. Really? Has the opioid pandemic really hit your country? Has it hit Turkey pretty bad? Can anyone influence the Iran situation? I mean, you can, obviously, with the influence system in the game. Absolutely. Oh, shit. Soleimani's in control now. What? They lost their focus tree to revolutionary Iran. Is that a bug? That might be. Bear with me. I want to test something real quick, because this is a bug. I want to report it to the devs. I'll load this in a second. Let's see what happens if they win the war, if they get their focus tree back or not, because if they don't, that's an issue. They probably just become Persia again, and then they get it, but just in case. Let's see what happens. Wait till the end of the month. No, they get their tree back. Okay, cool. Just want to check. Well, soon the update. Energy system, plane designers, updates to the doctrine, updates to, what's it called? I think the naval system's getting some changes. Obviously, defense companies from Arms Against Tyranny. Cartels are being expanded. A bunch of new focus trees, some huge ones. Russia and India's focus trees are massive. Sure, it's 2,000. We will accept that. Pre-2010s, Turkey had a lot of political power groups. Now government takes down any group or institution that even has slightest criticism of power. Istanbul is the biggest drug center in the world. Really? Bigger than like the southern Chinese coastal cities? That's surprising. I mean, it is literally like the epicenter of the world. Such a key location for Asia and Europe and Africa, really. Yeah, kind of. More Europe and Asia. Alright, decreased our military spending. We should be actually running a surplus now. And then we can go into the really spicy ones. We're going to start with banking reform to reduce our corruption. The banking sector of Turkey is in dire need of reform. Corruption is rampant and the banks are one of the main reasons for the latest recession. Ooh, so close, look at that. My plan here is once we get a solid surplus going is I want to decrease the corporate tax rate to increase, obviously, the amount of civs we can use for construction, develop the economy that way. That's what I'm planning here. It pains me so much that the only way to reduce your fucking tax cost is to cut corporate tax, though. physically pains me. Not entirely inaccurate, but there are other ways. I know the 4 people who went to middle school the same year as me are now drug dealers. Fuck. I know 2 from my graduating class who do. Well, last time I checked in with them. Let's raid some PKK strongholds. Start hitting them. I'm not gonna roleplay. We're just gonna hit the Kurds. Well, not that that's inaccurate. As if it was hugely popular by this date, he had lost his edge. Gotcha. Could be worse. It could be your North Korea playthrough where you earn a deficit no matter what you do. Dude, that was so cursed. That got me. I don't normally rage quit campaigns like that, but that got me. After I deleted the whole military, the whole navy, and even with a focus tree, I couldn't get us to like not death spiral. That was rough. Yeah. I love an economic challenge in Millennium Dawn. I like it when you have to try to like balance things, but I like it to be winnable without console commands. You live very close to him, really? Did you ever go down for tea and biscuits? Ask him about the Cypriot War. All right, we have enough. Let's go ahead and decrease our corruption levels. Go down to 5, and then we'll get one more in just a moment too, which, as you can see, is doing wonders for the economy. Look at that. Recent policies from our current ruling coalition has become woefully unpopular with our military. They're citing that we are doing everything we can to weaken our national security. I don't know what you're talking about. Never heard of her. His wife actually invited my mother for tea. Really? Did you ever get to meet him? I assume he's dead now, right? If he's this old in 2000, I assume he's not alive. You were too young. Yeah, fair. That would have been a pretty cool chance. I'm sure you would have loved that. Given that he was a poet and did translations. Yeah, you'd have fangirled pretty hard, I think, Mage. I may be wrong, but I suspect that would be the case. Invest in the IETT. Istanbul Electric Tramway V Tunnel is a transport company operating in the Istanbul area. Some of our party members have connected with the company. We should work together with them to improve Istanbul's transportation network. We're gonna get 2 office sectors for 31 billion, which is an absolute fucking steal. That is insanely nice. With our other corruption level drop, we have a big surplus now. W's. Our economy will get hit here soon though, so won't last. His English is pretty good too. How is Cyprus represented, and is Gaza a proper province? Yes, Gaza is independent. It's its own province. It is controlled by Palestine, as is the West Bank. They are separate from Israel. Cyprus is split in half. Northern Cyprus is guaranteed and has just enormous influence from Turkey, sorry. I could puppet them in like literally within a month if I wanted to. We have that much control over them. Whereas regular Cyprus is independence and obviously gives base rights to the Greeks and the Brits. But it is split in half. I've never gone to Turkey, Curse. I almost did twice. The first time I almost went to Turkey was when that little mini coup thing happened back in, oh god, when was that, 2016 or 2017? We were literally about to fly to Turkey when like that whole like possible coup in Ankara was happening and stuff like that. And it was really sketchy. And both me and my buddy who I was traveling with, Muhammad, like both of our families were like telling us, demanding we didn't go to Turkey. And we didn't go. And we tried to get like our money back from our flights, which was with Turkish Airlines. And they wouldn't, because they said nothing was wrong. And there was nothing going on in Ankara. It was like that Avatar thing. There's no war in Boston, say. But no, I didn't go then. And I almost went a second time on another trip I took when I was going, right before I went to Asia. But they canceled my flight from Athens at like the last minute. Like the day of, they canceled the flight. And they didn't give me a replacement flight. They're like, we'll give you your money back. If you'd like to get a replacement, it's like double the cost. So I just said fuck it, and I skipped Turkey. So I've been wanting to go for a while. There's a lot I would love to see there. Mike Pence suspended his presidential campaign. Yeah, but did he really ever have one, Coco? If we're gonna be honest, did he ever really have one? The polling data suggests he doesn't. So I would argue that get a bit of a Schrodinger's cat situation there. I don't think there ever really, you could prove there was one. PKK had training camps in Palestine, so I'm not happy super into Palestine overall. Your window almost broke that way because jets were flying very low. Yep. It's a scary day. Yeah. Yep. We're not gonna get more corruption. God damn it. Tanks in Ankara. Let's hit more terrorist sites. Okay, good. Oh, there we go. Bear with me. What the fuck is this? Alright, that'll work, I guess. OBS is doing weird things right now. Was it a really remote space so I slept like a beauty? I wouldn't know for like a week without TV. Yeah, that was an interesting situation. My understanding after the fact was it was basically a fake coup to try and give Erdogan more power. That was my understanding at the time. I don't know if you would have differing opinions on that. I went to Turkey last year and went to the province of Cappadocia. That's one of the places I'd love to go. All those old, like the houses in the city built into the stone. Don't ride it because it was too expensive. The next day some tourists died from a hot air balloon malfunctioning. Dude, fuck that. I don't like heights very much. I would never go in a hot air balloon unless I was paid ridiculous money. Fuck that. The other site I'd love to go to, there's a couple of them, is those really early, like, super early human, like, cities, like the early civilization. There's a couple of them there that are really fun. And I really want to go to Mount Nemrut, too. That's been on my bucket list for a while. That's what we want right there. Legacy of the Essevites. Bülent Ecevit and his wife Razan have been instrumental in creation of social democratic movement in Turkey. Their legacy must be honored. We'll do that. We're going to increase the central bank's autonomy for the economic boom, and then I'm going to go work on the other economic focuses before we shift hard right. Let's hit the PKK here. Fuck, we fucked up the counter-terror raid and killed some of our own people. Unfortunate. Yeah, definitely will, Mage. I will absolutely visit it sometime. There's so much I want to see there. I really want to see Istanbul. I have like a list of places. Fuck, that's actually expensive. I'm not going to do more of these. That is very expensive. I want to visit Istanbul. I'd love to visit the site where Troy was supposed to be, like the excavated site there. I really want to visit. There's a big hike, Mage. You'll know the name of it. There's the hike you can do from like southwestern Anatolia, and it goes along the coastline down here. And it goes by a bunch of old, like, Greek city-states and, like, ancient ruins and stuff, including, like, the graves built into the hills there. I really want to do part of that hike. Probably, like, a couple weeks of that. I want to go to Mount Nemrut, which is way the fuck over here. Cappadocia, of course, which I think is, like, over here somewhere. Turkish geography is not great. And then I want to go to, like, the really, like, pre-early human, like, city excavated site, which I think is somewhere over here, too. I forget the name. So, yeah, there's so much to see there. Mount Nemrut was the Seleucids, right? They might have been involved with it. I know, like, parts of the statues had been built, like, by different groups over the years. So it wasn't, like, all done in one go of it. But some really cool statues. It's a really interesting historic site. I don't know if the Seleucids were the ones who built, like, most of them. That I could not tell you. Do helicopters have self-attack and breakthrough? Yes, they do. I should be able to design them. I think we have a couple. I'm not sure why. Maybe, hold on. My version might actually not have the helicopter designer. They may not have added that to the main dev branch yet. I should have them and I can't. So my guess is my branch doesn't have the helicopter designer. But if you look here, you see, well, that's not their actual stats. It'll be in the full release. I don't have all the features. This is like the main dev branch, so it has most things, but it doesn't have everything. Some are still being worked on, or they're merged. Keep investigating. Good, we got some of the Mafia. $500 billion in debt. That's manageable. On the army branch? Yeah, because they're still producible in their base form, right? But they should be in the designer, which you'd get in build aircraft. Yes, you can build them regularly. But that's not what he's talking about. He wants the designer for it. I know the hike is from Roman or Greek. Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. Primarily Greek, I think. Made from like the Greek city-states that were along the western coastline of Anatolia, prior to obviously being consumed by the Persians and the later cultures and groups who were there. They went really far east, actually. But I know it's like right around here, there's some really amazing sites that this hike goes by. It's supposed to be really nice. The full thing, I think he takes like a month or two, but I don't want to do the whole thing, just part of it. Increase central bank autonomy. By increasing the autonomy of the central bank, we are able to let the economy flow without the interference of politicians, which will put us into the economic boom which we want. I only take that if we get it from focuses or for random chance. Never spend money on it. Not worth it. It was really interesting. The Christians built hideouts inside the mountains. It's really interesting to see the engineering and architecture that they put into building the hideouts. Yeah, that was when they were still being persecuted under the Roman Empire, right? Prior to the split of Rome. That was pre-Constantine and stuff. And then I think, weren't some of them also used during like the Iconoclast movement when there was that big split as well? Yeah. Subella Monastery, I've never heard of that. Bushra al-Assad is the daughter of Hafiz al-Assad. She is one of 3 options you can get for Syria's inheritance, where any of the children of Hafiz al-Assad when he dies can inherit. Bushra, Maher al-Assad, and then the one we all know, Bashar al-Assad. He in real life was the one who took power. She's the daughter. She's supposed to be like the more liberal one. Not that liberal, but she's like, she gives off the same vibe as like the Democrats who will put coexist stickers on the missiles they used to hit children in the Middle East. Same vibe, really. Or they put the rainbow flag on the tear gas cannons they used to dispel crowds. You know, same vibe, right? Liberal. God, the Mafia's gotten stronger. For some time, our coast guards have monitored a massive rusty carrier hull-towed around the Black Sea. It's a rare sight to be sure. The ship named the Varyag is decorated with Soviet golden stars and towed slowly by some 6 smaller tugboats. Originally from Ukraine, its final destination is the Chinese leisure company in Macau, its new owner. Which was supposed to be turned into a casino. It wasn't. The hull can pose a real threat to the traffic in the strait if it were to collide or capsize entirely. We are going to demand money from the Chinese. It's free real estate. Why not? Pay me, bitch. I still have this on, don't I? Yeah. They rejected it. Fuck you. Thinking of such a ridiculous idea. Well, I think we're gonna have to impound your carrier for inspections for the next 10 years, so that's unfortunate. Those inspections, man, they could take a while. Big ships like that. I mean, by the time you're done with the first inspection, you need another inspection. Am I right? I mean, if it takes a month, who knows? It could have rusted more, so it needs more inspections. Really, I think we should just keep inspecting it until they facilitate its transfer through asset transfers. So Draconir, how are you doing? They accepted and didn't pay IRL? Fuck. Yeah, I love China. How are we looking? Very fucking nice. That's how we're looking. Let's start to pay off part of the debt. We actually can. Thank you for the follow. Let's see if I can find it. Swedish Kaiser. Look at that. Look at that interest rate down at 3.7%. I like that number. I like it a lot. That's a sexy number. Oh, good. Revolutionary Iran won, so they are now a social democratic government which has overthrown the Ayatollah. Iranian revolutionaries triumphantly march across the capital Tehran as they declare victory over the Islamic Republic. This comes as Iran descends into chaos some months ago, following a brutal government response to a small demonstration in the north of the country. Large swaths of the army stood in solidarity with the revolutionaries, and they subsequently turned against the Islamic Republic. All the events here. We will take that off the sector. Saeed Ali Khamenei, the former supreme leader of Iran, now silently resides in Venezuela, where he's been granted a sanctuary by the Venezuelan government. My God. He has not commented on anything so far, but Iranians are demanding that he be returned and tried for his crimes during his term as the supreme leader. And sometime now, the Iranians across the nation will have to decide what government they want ruling moving forward. Western nations have expressed their support. Nice. Hey, you can bring back the Shah. I know that's one option. You can go full democratic, you can go communist. There's a lot of options now. They did, why did they even want a carrier? They are China. Because they want to build a navy to compete with the US, which they've tried to do. And I wouldn't say they succeeded, but they've certainly built a very solid navy. They're one of the world's pinnacle naval powers right now. Their shit cannot compete with America, but given how dramatically naval kind of power works in the modern age, it's really tough to say how much of that difference will matter, given how powerful drones and submarines are in the modern era, right? America, I think, is very overconfident of its naval power. We have a lot of carriers, and my God, they are powerful fucking machines of war. We have a huge navy, right? But we haven't seen a hot war with major naval powers and the effects that drones could really have on naval warfare, which I think many countries, especially like America, kind of take for granted. They are going to bring back the Shah in Iran. Reza Pahlavi has returned to his homeland of Iran following his victory in the grand referendum, with crowds of people welcoming him in Tehran's international airport as he walked down the stairs of his plane. His return to Iran brings about a sigh of relief in the West, as his policies of secularization and modernization will drift the nation away from radical Shiite Islam and closer to a secular state that could resemble a potential regional ally. While hearing the news, many NATO countries have dropped support for Saudi Arabia and have returned to backing the Iranians as Saudi policies become less appealing due to their violent and repressive nature. This shift in support has stirred new tension between Tehran and Riyadh, which could spiral dangerously out of control if it does not deal with diplomatically by the two parties. American carriers versus Swedish submarines. Yep, exactly. Great example of that. There was like a mock battle scenario ran between like a carrier force of the US and a submarine force by Sweden. And all of America's ships, I believe, got sunk in that test. Big World War II era destroyers and carriers are really not as powerful as they used to be. In my mind, the primary use of carriers in the modern world are really just their use in projecting power on countries with air when you don't have air bases. Their actual power and I think full-on naval battles in the modern world would be very limited. I think most of a modern naval battle between powers like China and the US, or the US and, oh God, on a good day, like a combination of nations, it would be primarily submarines and drones, I think. And I think the US's Navy would get hit fucking hard. And I think they choose to ignore that. Or they don't want to adapt, I guess. I mean, to be fair, Nimitz-class carriers do give me a simmy, as I think they give most Americans a bit of a boner, but they are probably not as useful as I think many people would imagine in like a full naval war in the modern era. I'm not a naval historian, I'm an armchair fucking general playing HOI4, but I think it's pretty obvious when you think about it and how, for example, drones have transformed the Ukrainian-Russian war and made a lot of countries really just dramatically rethink their military doctrine on land. And I think it'd be the same navally if we saw something like that. I mean, already, think about all the ships like in the Ukrainian war from Russia that have been sunk, right, due to drones. Like, they are such a game changer. And we're just on the edge of where that tech will go. So anyway, back to the game. We're gonna do a very large IMF loan. With more concessions, we might be able to negotiate with the IMFs so that we can be granted a larger loan from them. We will get a lot of stability, which is what I want. We are going to decrease our independence by a lot, though, which sucks for our politics. China has more ships, but America has more naval dominance. China has a lot of really bad ships, though. They're not very high quality at all. As an Indian, nothing compares to America's Navy. There's no naval power compared to America, except maybe China. No. If you want to look at, like, traditional fleets, right, if we're going to assume that, like, action figure style, they go up against each other, right? Like the Americans would use their Navy and their carrier task force with their destroyers and all their regular ships to fight China's version of that. China gets fucking wiped. They get the floor absolutely wiped. Their Navy, it looks good on paper. Much like the Chinese economy, looks good on paper. It's not that it's not very solid, it just looks stronger than it is because China likes to project being much stronger than it is, which is a very good tactic. There's no reason they shouldn't be doing that, but, you know, projecting something to be different than it is means that in the actual situation, it will be different. America's naval tech is just so far ahead. The quality of their ships and their training is so far ahead of China. It will stay like that forever. But China is like one of the countries who aren't stagnant in many ways in how they deal with warfare and how they deal with policy. One of the many benefits of how their party works, right? I would bet you that they have a lot of naval drone programs that they've been developing and things like that, which could level the playing field between China and the US. That's where I think China does actually have the ability to compete. Battleships are incredibly beautiful. They're not practical or useful in the modern era. Not all, we just sneak behind all American ships and sink the largest carrier. Gotcha, yeah. Yeah, but there's been other like mock kind of fights the US has done internally with their Navy. And it's made a lot of them, I think, rethink their doctrine in recent times. Modern combat is pretty much all of the horizon weapons. Like, war would never be without even seeing ships or planes. I mean, space warfare is a thing now too, right? Obviously. I mean, you know for a fact there's a lot of satellites up there that are military based that we just don't know about. China, Russia probably has quite a few. We have a lot, I'm sure. Don't get talked about. The entire reason we have the Bactra is actually Israel sold us crappy drones and blocked our use of it. Really? That's where China was in Vietnam and they lost it hard. A very different China's military though. Very different. Another Iranian civil war. People's Republic of Iran has declared war against the Shah's Iran. Oh boy. A very tumultuous Iran timeline here. For construction. A bit more important right now. USA is patrolling entire world sea lanes. China max goes to Singapore. Yeah, I'd say they go to the Strait of Malacca. China obviously claims like all of the South China Sea, which is bullshit. They actively patrol and use their forces in this whole region here. Obviously, you've probably seen it in the news recently that they've been kind of like pushing into the Philippines claimed areas of the sea in the South China Sea. And they go pretty far south. They'll go down to these islands and stuff too. Singapore, yeah, about there. This is China's Achilles heel right here. I guess really right here. They are so dependent on foreign oil imports. It all comes right through here. This is the most important region for global trade, besides obviously the Suez. So very important for them. India needs to get its shit together. All our weapons are old Soviet ship. Yeah, you guys are fucking outdated. Russia sold us, ripped us off. We've had pretty much no cutting edge weapons, and most of our in-house development has failed. We also have the economy to catch up to the tech from Air Force and Navy. Dude, what blows my mind about American foreign policy in the last 2 decades is why the fuck we aren't like fully all-inning on like building a modern alliance with India. I would even argue that developing relations, both economic and military, with India is probably more important than Europe for America right now. And a lot of that has been ego and it has been xenophobia, I think is why we haven't done that, right? Especially like the Bush regime, Bush Sr. definitely, but Bush Jr. in particular too, obviously. Trump was a really weird mixed bag. Arguably, he actually did a lot for better relations with India, which was very strange. But why we aren't going deeper? I mean, we should really be expanding our military cooperation with India and giving y'all tech and stuff like that, and working to get our economies working closely together. Because India and America naturally have, I think, a lot of natural similarities culturally and with people and with outlook on the world. Not always good, some of it's bad, but there's so many similarities. Why we are not all inning to like cooperate more heavily with y'all, I will never understand. I understand it abstractly. It's because you've been much closer to Russia in the past. Xenophobia, I think a lot of just lack of fundamental analysis for how quickly your country's developing by a lot of American leaders. I think their advisors understand and probably tell them, but leaders generally don't always take advice well. So I wish we were doing more to work with y'all. And then there's the Modi situation, which does make it more complicated. He is a little tough to justify working with, as he's got a lot of skeletons in his closet. To be fair, this is the new update, Potato. It's not the whole one. It's just part of it. This is 1.9. Because India is a strategic threat to American dominance, they're really not. They're not going to surpass America in the next couple hundred years. There's no way. They can't. They will become a major world power. There's no debate about that, unless something insane happens. In my eyes, at least. Yeah, India's own foreign policy is problematic at times. But I mean, like, they're naturally enemies with China. We're naturally enemies with China. There's so much common ground. I mean, American companies work so heavily with Indian companies. I mean, a lot of it was exported labor, but that's changing now, especially as India is starting to develop like a proper modern economy. Turkish economic collapse. It appears that our economy has collapsed and we are unable to do anything to save it this instant. We're going to have to devise an economic plan which lets us slowly repair the economy and set forth a Turkish economic boom. We have a long road ahead of us. We went down to fast growth, which sucks, but the real hit we got was no economic plan. Which is really gonna fuck us over here. We are still running a surplus though. Surprisingly. How's our competitiveness right now? Hindu nationalism tendencies, yes, that's the other thing. That's what I mean with Modi though, right? Is the current iteration of the BJP does make things hard to work with y'all, which I think is one of the biggest issues. But I would argue, and I think in the minds of many Americans, and especially American leadership and Indian leadership, the military and geopolitical strategic differences that we have with China and Russia, less of Russia, more of China, probably should be superseding that. I don't understand why it doesn't. It should, really. I see you, Turkey deal. We're going to get $3 billion. India losing a border war with China changed their outlook, shook the entire nation and their ideology. Yup. The protests are causing a significant slowdown in construction projects nationwide. The administration must choose between mitigating the effects for a shorter duration or attempting to pacify the protesters. With the Western outlook. I'm not role-playing, but I'm going to a little bit here. We're going to negotiate. We will not use the boot. It's not about surpassing, it's just that they are a threat to their sphere of influence. Indians are also very distrusting of Americans because of its close ties to the Middle East. Yep. Large Muslim population and Americans' treatment of India from the Cold War to the pre-Trump era. Yeah. I would argue the Obama era. Obama did work to reconcile y'all a little bit. Obviously, it was hurt by... There were a couple big diplomatic incidents we had with you guys during the Obama era. But I would argue that America was attempting to reconcile and build relations much more actively with y'all. Trump really was the game changer with India, which still is so weird to me, man. He bungled almost all of our foreign policy so fucking badly, dude. But with India, he actually did it, I would say, a pretty good job. He made an active effort. I mean, sure, there's definitely some corruption issues going on there, but you know, hey, if that means we get better relations with India, I'm fine with it, I guess. A little bit. I mean, it's fine. I don't agree with the sphere of influence thing, right? I mean, what is India's modern sphere of influence, really, right? Southeast Asia, a little bit of Indonesia. They don't have much influence in Africa. Middle East is just not very great, right? America has obviously shifted to the Pacific, but we're much more interesting in, like, you know, obviously the Koreas, in Japan, in Philippines, in Australia, New Zealand. Southeast Asia, Indonesia is a region that we like are trying to get on better relations with, but we naturally, I think, realize how hard that is, like, given obviously our history there, primarily Vietnam, which India doesn't suffer from. So I think America shouldn't even begin to fool itself into thinking we could contend Indian influence in Southeast Asia. I mean, that's just a silly concept in my mind, at least. Modi has a bad reputation because he has allowed religious violence and state-controlled, in Gujarat. International community pulled back after Modi got the throne. I would agree. Politically, yes. Economically, no. I don't think so, at least. Edge, it's really far ahead, but I want those research bonuses. We just want to stack as many of those as we can here. As an Indian myself, I can guarantee India can be a strategic threat to America. And Indian people also, you're right. I mean, if they became actively hostile, of course they could be. With their economic power and their military, which is very outdated, but still large, they could be. I mean, if they were actively antagonistic like China, yeah, they could absolutely be a strategic threat. But I don't think Indian and American relations will ever go like that negative. I mean, it could happen. I don't think it will, though. So, I don't know. I just don't really see that in my eyes. Indian people also don't like the Western countries because of their hypocrisy. Canada. And Russia has also, at every point since the Cold War, has supported India and its intentions. Meanwhile, America and Europeans have always tried to suppress and wipe out India. Europeans definitely have. We know America sees us as nothing more than a strategic ally, and so we treat the Americans as the same. Yeah, and that's why I don't understand. I really do see, in my eyes, a lot of similarities between Indian culture and Indians and Americans and American culture. The big thing that I think many people not see that is the religious, like, differences, right? You know, Hinduism, and to a lesser extent, obviously, Buddhism and Sikhism versus Americans and their Christianity, which is starting to go away very quickly, though, to be fair, right? In recent polls for, like, Americans and religiosity, it's going down at an insane rate, which will hopefully impact our foreign policy less in the future. I know, man. Indians and Americans, very scrappy, similar senses of humor in many ways, I would say. Very much embracing of new things like internet culture and things like that. Very industrialistic, very focused on wealth and wealth creation, right? Probably the most similar out of any countries I can think of in that manner. Very, very, what's the word? I don't want to say aggressive, but they respect the military a lot. There's a lot of cultural similarities. I don't think I'm speaking out my ass when I say that. There really are. It's just that our differences are much more underlined, I think. I really think if we cultivated an actual relationship with India that isn't, like you said, just a very unemotional strategic partnership, it would be so useful for both countries, right? It really could be. Dude, they ignore their crimes? Yeah, okay, that I agree with, 100%. India also assassinated a Sikh leader in Canada. Yeah, that really fucked over your relationship with Canada. We've kind of been pretty, we haven't engaged too much with that, if I recall correctly. I don't think Biden has really talked much on that. We're kind of ignoring it. In geopolitics, there are no friends, unfortunately. That's not entirely true. I disagree. I don't prescribe to, like, real politics being the only, like, actual useful or real system in geopolitics and global politics in general. You can have friendship-related partnerships that actually last a while and work well. Prime example, America and Britain. Think about how fruitful that partnership has been over the last 150 years, really last 100 years, right? That's an example where it is much more than just a strategic geopolitical partnership. It is much deeper than that. And sure, it's easy given the common heritage, right? I mean, English founded and built a lot of early America, so there's a natural cultural similarity between them, making a partnership like that much easier. But you can still have it between countries without that. It's very doable. It just take work by multiple generations of both Indian and American leadership, which, that'd be very tough to have happen, but it is possible. India has a natural sphere of influence on the subcontinent, and American presidency has a bad history. Yep, we do, and following realism and power, great power theory. Hence, they kind of be hawkish towards countries that can even hope to catch up to them. They see India as a pawn in the games of great power, which Indians hate, and they want to be America of the Asia. I know. I think we're starting to come to a reckoning where we're realizing we can't do that anymore. I think Biden's a great example of that. His foreign policy isn't my favorite, but I don't hate it. It's not the worst. I wouldn't say humble. American foreign policy is never going to be fucking humble. But it's not just like swinging his big old fucking dick around like George Bush or, you know, even Bill Clinton in many ways, right? I don't want to say big dick energy because that's not what it was. Just trying to swing their dicks around, which is what America has really done after World War II everywhere, which makes so many countries like fear, respect, and mostly hate us. But it's what superpowers do. But we're not a superpower anymore. We lost that probably late 2000s, early 2010s. Let's do sell government companies. To get some extra revenue, we need to sell some of the companies currently owned by the Turkish state. We'll get an office sector. That's the economy. Not great, not horrible. Special relationship. I am not playing Pink Puffball. This is the Turkish focus tree for 1.9 update. I met an Indian office official before in semi-casual setting. I asked him a few questions. They were super defensive about everything. No wonder Asian don't like them too much. They're very nationalistic. I think they've got a bit of a chip on their shoulder. You know, obviously, given that they are starting to see Indians, I think, realize completely now, correct me if I'm wrong here, that they can be a global power in every sense of the word. And they should have been one for a while. And they were stopped from being what they were supposed to be by the West, by Europe, and primarily by a certain tea-drinking country. Right? I mean, India's progress and India's power has been completely stopped by others. And they are not nearly at what they can and should be due to that. And I think India, especially politically and economically, but also generally, understands that very well. Which is why developing relationships with them from the West is difficult. And why they struggle to develop relationships with like China, because China is actually hostile, which kind of leaves only Russia. Which is why they've kind of been working together so much. I don't know. It's an unfortunate situation. It is dependency. Britain needs to rely on America to have any sort of military power projection. Sure, they might have the cultural and language protection, but in the end, military and economic power projection are the only things that really matter. True. But I mean, we need them too we don't need them, but they are useful to America for many different reasons. But I mean, I think a good example of that was Brexit, right? Brexit was a great example of when America could have started to really, I think, kind of throw the UK under the bus, and we didn't. There's an argument to be made that obviously the trade deals we can negotiate with them now that they're outside the EU are advantageous to us, but no offense, UK doesn't really produce enough to make that particularly useful. If anything, I mean, maintaining relationships with the EU is way more important than Britain, and we still continue to maintain everything with the UK after that, which was good. I don't know. You're never gonna get like a romantic relationship between countries. You're never gonna get like a human connection level friendship, but there are definitely levels to how deep like partnerships go between countries, and they can never be like altruistic, but they can be very friendly. They can be much more friendly than, you know, the normal type you have, which is just purely like cost versus gain. We'll do loosen industrial regulations to get the industrial conglomerates to like us a bit more. We are mostly stopped because of our shitty leaders after our independence. That too. I feel accused as a Scandinavian when we only sat here and fought each other. Don't sell yourself short. Y'all fucked up Europe quite a few times now and then. Y'all were just mainly fighting each other like all the time, but every once in a while, you just like dick on Europe for fun. Certain kings come to mind. Brexit was one of the worst decisions Britain could have made. Yep, it has crippled them in the modern era. I don't know if they'll recover from it. They might. No, I get that, man. Just look at the Japanese-American relationship. Incredibly close considering the history there. Another great example. Skep try. Skep try? Yeah, saying that right. Yeah, I mean, we developed that nation after World War II, and we didn't have to. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend we did it for moral reasons. We sure as fuck didn't. We did it to counter the Soviets and to stop them from getting more influence in Asia and to make sure that we'd have a Western democracy in Japan, which wouldn't form an empire and fight us in the Pacific again in 30 years. That's why we did it. But we did do it, and we did it fucking well. I think Japan is one of the best examples of like modern state building, period. Obviously after a war, but period as well. I mean, we had the obviously Monroe Doctrine in Europe, which rebuilt a lot of those countries, but Japan was a different level. That was a whole different situation. And we've managed to develop a very friendly relationship, I mean, politically, right, in the modern world with them, which has been so useful for every different reason you can think of. Boris Johnson didn't even want Brexit. He just promised to get votes. Good example of why, like, modern populism is just hurting countries so badly. They are promising and taking actions that actively hinder and hurt their nation for political points. I mean, as an American, happens in my country all the fucking time. It's insane. And y'all got hurt real bad by that. Fuck the economic disaster. 42 days. Ooh, I don't know if we'll get it in time. We might get hit again. I had Indian roommates whose family animals were taken in the colonial era and their animals starved because UK soldiers just left them in a warehouse. He was still mad. Dude, if I was born an Indian, I'd fucking hate the Brits and I'd never not feel that way. You read the history of what they did and how much they fucked over India. I mean, it's not like India was never a great power in the past, right? It's like China. You know, I'm reading a really good book right now, kind of on this topic-ish. It's called Why the West Rules for Now. It's a really good book. I'm about halfway through it. And it talks a lot about like the history of what we kind of now see to be East versus West and how loosely that is to define period and kind of what is defined that in history. And it's interesting because I think a lot of, especially Westerners in the modern age, they look at the East, which to them usually means anything east of Iran or even east of sometimes of Turkey now, which is funny because the West really began in Mesopotamia, right? But anyway, all these countries, and they assume that they'd always been backwards and behind, you know, and things like that. That's not fucking true, man. China dominated in terms of technology, in terms of development, in terms of so many different things for a while. And the Indians did in different periods too. I mean, the various Indian empires that ruled, you know, not the entire subcontinent, I don't think ever, but large amounts of it, they were incredibly powerful. And I think any Indian who has studied history knows that very well. And goddamn, it'd be hard not to be resentful, man. You'd have to have some pretty great mindfulness and some pretty zen-like abilities to not be fucking angry and resentful. Hell, I'd sometimes even fucking hate the Brits a little bit in the back of my mind for, you know, the Revolutionary War, which is completely nonsensical, but it's just one of those things, you know. You grow up in a culture, you get indoctrinated into it, and history is very hard to ignore. The reason India never united was partially due to how easy it was to invade and hence get fucked by constant invasions. It's such a varied continent too. I mean, trying to conquer the whole thing, I'm sure would be an absolute nightmare. Economic crisis recovery plan. We need to establish an economic recovery plan as soon as possible if we expect the Turkish nation to thrive monetarily. If we do not, we put our people's lives and jobs at risk and we cannot afford such a massive loss. Let's lower our corruption again. Beautiful. We're gonna come out of this recovery fucking strong as fuck here. Remember when Trump shut down the government for 6 weeks while refunding his border wall? Yeah. Yep. Our government gets shut down a lot these days for no fucking good reason. Funniest thing is that we actually called the Swedish populace and nationalists the worst nationalists ever for selling out everything to foreign capitalists. Are they still in power? You had a right-wing government for a little while recently, right? I know you haven't had like a proper social liberal government since like what, the 80s or the 90s, right? But isn't your recent government fairly conservative in Sweden? I don't know your politics the best, I'm gonna be honest. Not defending colonizers, but I'm tired of Easterners acting like they are better morally. They're not, but they have the right to be fucking angry. You know? There's a difference between standing on a moral high ground that doesn't exist and just being fucking angry at countries for fucking you over and making your present situation worse than it should be. They're very different. I don't blame the British and the Europeans entirely because our ancestors are, well, very stupid enough to let them conquer and subjugate us in the first place. It wasn't quite that simple though. I mean, they obviously abused like a lot of Eastern countries' internal power struggles to take power, but they also just had military and primarily naval technology that just eclipsed the East. So there was no situation there where they weren't going to get a lot of power and influence. It was just how much. India in particular lost on that, right? But you guys were not going to compete with the Europeans. No Asian country was. They advanced way too quickly with military technologies and with utilizing energy resources. No comparison. They go with the military. Terrorist hideouts again. Do they have the coup and the focus tree? For Turkey, yes. Very conservative in our standards, and the opposition is becoming more and more left-wing to deal with the anger people have with the lack of action by the government. Yeah, I thought so. Brits take advantage of the anti-Islamic sentiment too now, aiding rebellions against the Mughals and stuff. Oh, sure. The religious divide was very useful in India for that. When they played a little, like, Game of Thrones of all the princedoms back in the day. What's up, Orion? How are you doing? I'm still triggered over the British taking the entire mausoleum of Halicarnassus to the UK and putting it in the museum. Here, the UK has so much stolen artifacts, it's kind of crazy. My opinion on that is pretty not PC, though, if I'm going to be honest. I don't think a lot of it... Oh, fuck. Alright, well, I fucked myself. Syria finally did. This is why you got to be careful and not forget about your spies. Our spy got up to level 2, but they did build a spy agency and caught the spy. And we can't get them back because we need another agent, which I can't get for a while. So we're going to lose that spy, which really sucks. Paying attention here. I think a lot of the artifacts they have, they should keep. There's a lot of countries who don't make use of their artifacts. They don't keep them safely. They don't maintain them, and they sometimes get lost or sold or just, you know, things like that. So I think a lot of the artifacts that the UK has taken, I don't see as a bad thing, and I don't think they should return. There are other countries who can definitely handle them and take them back and treat them well, and those they should be giving back. I don't know. It's a touchy subject, but 40 minutes, nice. Just heads up, I'm only streaming for like another 30, 40 minutes, something like that. It's kind of a short stream today. I got started late because I was still fucking rendering my goddamn video file today. That was ridiculous. 7 hours, just one more time, to render 1 minute verse of the intro part of the new video for House Torres. I don't know what my After Effects was doing. British Museum is the best museum in the world. There's no comparison. Large company bankrupt. One of the larger companies within our nation has declared bankruptcy today. It's a truly sad day for our economy. We will subsidize it. We fucked up another terrorist raid. Really not doing well. Great, we have Wi-Fi. We'll go into advanced computing, and then that's the last computing tech I'm going to take for a while. Trade deal with Mexico. Absolutely. Things like Indian and Mughal gems in the British Imperial Crown are fucked. Oh, 100%. That kind of thing there's no defense for, that's for certain. We will need to have more defense spending, and we need more education spending. Also, most things wouldn't be artifacts or as popular as they are without the Europeans being interested in them. Perhaps. I think it just would have been slower, and like the sites could have gotten destroyed, right? Much more easier. The development of archaeology, like the modern sense, not whatever the fuck they were doing prior to like the 1890s, but really like the 1930s. Yeah, the upside is that they saved a lot of stuff that wouldn't probably exist. That is the upside of what they did, really. There's no debating that. It would have developed, it just would have developed so late that a lot of those things would have probably gotten lost. Okay. Turkish society, I want more political power. If we can get the last couple corruptions removed, we're going to be in such good shape here. Look at that debt going down as well. Oh, yeah. Egyptians aren't getting anything after damaging the Rosetta Stone and trying to destroy the pyramids. Dude, the Egyptian museum I went to when I was in Cairo was so fucking tragic. I don't know if it was just at the time, because that was pretty recent after Sisi took power and the government was still in a lot of chaos, but dude, those artifacts were not fucking taken care of. They were not. It was a little rough to see parts of that museum, just in terms of like the quality. that they were keeping some of the things in. Oof. I hope it's gotten better, but I just love that a German that was looking for Troy fucking used dynamite to find it. Dude, early archaeology is just fucking terrifying. It was like Indiana Jones if he was like a hick from Missouri who loved explosives and it just destruction. It belongs in a museum, in pieces. Here in the Pacific Northwest of America, a lot of native artifacts were saved just because hobbyists would take them home. That's before infrastructure projects had to ensure an area wasn't important to native tribes. Yeah, definitely. Where I live, IMC in the U.S. is by a lot of the Hopewell mounds, like the one of the most interesting native cultures in the Americas, which was really early, actually. The region I'm in, they were the mound builders. Probably you've heard of them. I think if you're American, you have. You might have even as a European, or if you're not from the U.S. They built a bunch of like just giant mounds with incredibly high levels of geometric knowledge, obviously very focused on astronomy, and just really huge. The amount of earth that was moved was crazy. A lot of them got destroyed by farmers and by like city expansion and things like that. Like almost a lot of them got destroyed. But a lot of the early hobbyists, like you're talking about IMC, they documented a lot of them. They did sketches of them. A lot of them were very scientific for the 19th century. So they even took measurements of like the height and things like that, which has been so useful in the modern era for a lot of those sorts of things. A lot of them are just gone now, sadly. We need to fill all these pillars with artifacts. Let's just cut a few into pieces, fill up more space. Fuck. The Brits were just basically playing that new Tropico game. Tropico 6, which is where you play as like the island dictator of like a Caribbean island and do fun things. The latest version has like a whole thing where you can steal world artifacts of like helicopters. It's really comedic, right? And like the Eiffel Tower, you can pick up of a helicopter and put it in your country. The Brits were basically just doing that like actually in real history, like, you know, really up until the early 20th century. Just stealing world artifacts constantly. I mean, a lot of like, especially the Iranian and the Iraqi artifacts they took, they're borderline world wonders, man. If y'all have ever seen like the Mesopotamian artifacts they have in the museum, oh my god, dude, incredible stuff. So beautiful. I'm a simp for Mesopotamia, I won't lie, but you can't argue they're not incredible. We'll do development of the East. The runestones were cool. It's not completely true, because early on the Europeans had to buy or lease land from the local kings. Eventually, when the Mughal Empire started stagnating, the British decided to use the opportunity to support the rebels, and when the Bengal Sultanate invaded the EIC, they literally bribed the general, and that's the only reason why the British were able to take over Bengal, which was the richest place in India, one of the most richest places in the world. The EIC kind of like stumbled its way into controlling India. Not that they weren't very capable, and they didn't make some like very intelligent moves, but there was a lot of, I wouldn't say random chance, but just like almost silly things that resulted in them like getting a better situation there. It was, I mean, just considering what it, like the amount of like land they took, the amount of people they took, even with the technology difference, is still just insane. Then there's the fact that the Ottomans used the Acropolis and Parthenon as a fort and ammo depot, which exploited and destroyed the roof. Absolutely. Maintaining of historical sites. Yeah, it's a tragedy how much of historical Constantinople got destroyed under the Ottomans as well over time. Fucking tragedy. The growing unrest is affecting military production, and the government faces a crucial decision. Should they enforce measures to maintain output or attempt to de-escalate the protests? We'll ease the tensions. We're not producing really anything in our factories right now anyway with military tech, so not a big deal. We're a pure economy in the early days. We're losing fuel again. God damn it. They don't teach us about pillage Ottomans did after conquering Istanbul. Not just pillage, but straight up destruction, man. It's like, whew. Not that it wasn't a big deal at the time, obviously. It's just what you did, but tragedy. That's like looking at a historical figure from the 13th century and be like, how dare he beat his wife? I mean, it's just what you did, man. Dalai Lama has returned to Tibet. In exchange for promises to remain neutral in political affairs, the Chinese authorities have granted the Dalai Lama leave to return to Tibet, take up a religious role in the region for the first time in half a century. Some very alt history going on here. That's weird. Catholics did worse, though? Yeah, I mean, the Crusade. The 4th, wasn't it? Or was it the 5th when they just sacked fucking Constantinople? I mean, who didn't want a piece of the fucking remnants of the Roman Empire? Who wouldn't want one? Just for the street cred alone. How are we looking here? Not bad. Unemployment's gone down too with the new buildings we have. Obviously, unemployment is bad. If I think it's over 8%, I want to say, you start to get hits to your stability and increases your social spending costs, which would be education and would be pensions. Obviously, if people aren't working, more things in unemployment, food stamps, things like that. So, supposed to represent that. Central development. Fuck you, Coco. You heard what I said. Did I fucking stutter, kid? No. It said Roman Empire. That's what it was. Ish. Venetians and the French rolling up Constantinople to kill Basilius and steal all his gold. Oh, it was gold. A bunch of his artifacts, too. Venetians were just like pirates who wore fine clothing. Changed my mind. And traded sometimes. They were pirates who have a very good PR campaign. They had the early version of the guys that BP hired. We're sorry. We didn't mean to take all that gold and artifacts from Istanbul. We're sorry. Constantinople, fuck. Keep saying it. Oh, yeah. 2.5% interest rate. Wonderful. When it's below 2%, I actually won't probably worry about it anymore. We'll start to do some other things. This game needs more supernatural secret world factions. You want an Illuminati event chain? I know, they get pretty silly pretty quick. British decimated Americas must mean that they are easy to conquer. Is there a conversation going on in the chat I'm not reading? Finland are the heirs to Rome. I know, man. Romania has it in its name, so I think that's probably the winner. China lost the Dalai Lama returning to Tibet to seal 10,000 demons back under the Himalayas. Okay, that'd be fucking funny, I'm not gonna lie, but there's no way the mod will add that. Okay, no worries. I figured there was a conversation going. Bulgaria, true heir to Rome. And development in the West. We almost had the really good focus here. Here he asks for a debt bailout. Well, well, well, look who comes crawling back. Say my name, bitch. Let's do rise of Turkish nationalism. I want to get that ball rolling. Wales' true heir to Rome. The true secret is that no one is the heir. The line of succession died out. See, again, this is why you do all your researches for speed first. Look at that. We're already up to 52% research speed bonus right now. That's why you do these first. Number of native Welsh speakers, 500,000. Number of native Latin speakers, 0. What about like the children who are born in like a monastery, like a Catholic monastery, or, you know, one of those Greek monasteries, and they learn to speak Latin? Would they be native Latin speakers, Arthur? I don't know, they might be. Was there ever a dynasty that had a legitimate claim to Rome? No, not really. Nationalism in other countries is scary. In the Balkans, it's just hilarious. It is kind of abstractly funny, but then, like, you know, you think about all the dead people over stupid fucking ideas like that, it's a little less funny. It is hilarious, though. Nationalism is built around the ideas of making your country great again, and, you know, hot take. Was the Balkans ever really great besides, I guess, like the OG Bulgarian Empire, like, what, 1,200 years ago? And that's a bit of a stretch. Macedon, maybe? That's a stretch, too. They were more Greeks. Tito? Bold statement. Tito you could describe as like competent. I don't know about great there, IMC. I wouldn't call Tito's Yugoslavia a great nation from history. I'd call it functional on a good day. I think that'd be an accurate statement. Spanish are heirs to Rome? Dude. I don't know about that. I think America's the true heir to Rome. You know why? We had the biggest Sigma energy grind set. So, you know, I think we're the most similar to Rome. So we're the real heirs. It's time to crown Biden as the Basilius of Rome. Similar to the East, the south of our country has also been somewhat forgotten. Investments in the south will be necessary for the economy to thrive. Now we get into the fun focuses. Now we get the gross ones that'll give us lots of bonuses. Torres line, best line. Like having your uncle works at USPS be king. Pretty much. The Serbians have snipers on me? Fuck. Machine learning, 2002, you're damn right. We actually cleared a Mafia hideout for once. My God. Imagine that. Turkish police doing a competent job in this timeline. Biden was live when Rome was a thing. Fuck, dude. I remember in history classes when they taught us about Romulus, Remus, and Joe Biden. Yes. Yep. Well, I mean, he was very famous in the time period. Yeah, I mean, Biden started his political career and really made a name for himself when he invented the ice cream stands in ancient Rome, allowing him to become a very wealthy and powerful individual before he migrated west with civilization after the fall and eventually built a political dynasty in Delaware. Well-documented historical facts there. I'd like to thank my my resources for that knowledge. Ayahuasca. What else to do right now? They did never hit Ireland. Ireland is so interesting in the post-Roman period for how they preserved like a lot of ancient Roman history too. There's a really good book I read about that a while back. In real life, yes. Yeah, they're hitting Gaza right now, aren't they? The land invasion. Yeah, Biden was actually like the only surviving member of the Roanoke colony. Actually, Arthur. He fled into the woods and used his malarkey powers to sustain his dynasty in Delaware after the colony collapsed when the aliens hit. Also a well-documented fact. There's a church in Japan that commemorated Jesus' escape to Japan from Roman persecution. They believe Jesus died in Japan in the modern day or historically. I mean, there was like the Christian uprising in like Edo, Japan was of a similar mindset where one of them was like thinking, wasn't he supposed to be like the reincarnation of Jesus or something like that? The one who started that failed rebellion. That's the one we want. Our factories are starting to become old, outdated, and inefficient. New factories situated in the northwest of our country will improve the situation a lot more. We can move people to work there. Our economy should be doing really good now. Oh, yes. Fucking beautiful. Our GDP per capita is up to 24,000. Productivity has gone up by over 100 now. Way more efficient. What's up, Sukmedik? Japan does have a lot of tin, and Jesus was most likely a tinsmith. What? He was a tinsmith? The fuck are you talking about, Arthur? Is this some form of like Pacific Northwest Christianity I've never heard of that believes in like the tin fucking miner Jesus? Turn this down, it's so loud. Jesus Christ, my eardrums. Give it a prime, Sukmadik. The Heavenly Kingdom was a Chinese revolt by a man who believed he was the brother of Jesus. Yeah, which was the most bloody war in history. No, I don't mean that, Curse. There was also, hold on, let me consult the lore. By which I mean Wikipedia. Japanese Christian revolt, Japan. 99% sure is a similar thing there. Shimabara Rebellion. I could be completely wrong. Bear with me. I like being right. Okay, no, he wasn't. He was called, his name is Masudo Shiro Tokisada, and he was seen as Heaven's Messenger. Is one of the, like the main figures in the Christian revolt in Japan, and supposedly miraculous powers were attributed to him. So he wasn't like the reincarnation or anything like that, but he was seen as a heavenly messenger and apparently had magical powers. Dude, his fucking banner is sick as fuck though. Jesus. Let me show this to y'all really quickly. This is the Christian revolutionary in Japan from the revolt, and this was the banner he carried when fighting the rebellion. That's fucking sick, dude. It's got a lot of drip. Anyway, so yeah, he was a heavenly messenger. That's what it was. It was the obviously the Chinese one, which was him being a relative of Jesus. Nope, nope, I did not curse. Yeah, that's a good banner. That's a pretty sick banner. I'd be inspired if I saw it on the battlefield. Not gonna lie, especially if I was Christian, even more so. That's pretty cool. Here they come. We're gonna go with the House of Osman. That's who we want in power here. House of Osman were the ruling monarchs of the Ottoman Empire for 600 years. The family was deposed in 1922 after the Turkish War of Independence and were sent to exile. Popular support for the royal house remains low in Turkey as Turkey is having gained independence from the Ottoman Empire. But we're gonna go all history, so. We'll go with Keepus Textile. Keepus Textile produces some of the highest quality fabrics in our nation and provides our economy with something to export to other countries. More civs. As he said, because I'm a professional streamer who definitely clicked the button properly here. 10 out of 10. Tommy K's got nothing on me, bitch. I click those buttons. I click those buttons real good. All right, our spy died in captivity in a Syrian prison, so we need a new one. We're gonna go with Bearcat Itis, who's tough. I'm gonna send him to a country I know for a fact will not get a spy agency. Who is just impoverished beyond belief and has no civs. Am I metagaining? Absolutely. We're going to send him to Northern Cyprus. They have no civs. They will not be able to capture him. He's going to hang out in the capital there and get XP. What's up, Vambi? Dude, I'm completely out of water right now. I gotta go grab some more. Can one of my mods, if they're here, refund his points really quickly? I don't want to just take her points and not drink water here. I am a wee bit dehydrated, but I'm gonna have to stop streaming in like 10-15 minutes, so I'm not gonna go downstairs and get any. Almost enough for another reduction in corruption. It's so said that the Japanese clans had the best banners, and now modern-day Japan has a red circle that we made by a 5-year-old. I agree with you, but the Japanese flag, the modern one, is pretty cool. It's very simple, but it does look pretty cool. I think it's hard to deny that. Construction nationwide is severely affected. With the stakes raised, the government must decide between drastic reduction in speed or a sustained period of potentially catastrophic negotiation. Yeah, we'll work with the protesters. Definitely me not subtly role-playing here or anything. Whatever. Japanese Navy still uses the sus flag, which is pretty cool. Yep. The OG one. It's not as sus as the Finnish Air Force's flag. Which can I show that on stream? I think it's fine, right? It's fine. I can show that on stream. This is for educational purposes. I am not advocating for any political group. Still used to this day, I believe. It's still in use by the Finnish Air Force, right? I thought they still technically used it. They dropped it in 2020. What? They've stopped using this unit emblem. Yeah, they did. They stopped using it on planes in 45. It was still used on emblems, unit flags, and decorations, including uniforms. Until 2017. They did get rid of it. Okay. They don't have it anymore, though. Already reported? Thank you, Mage. All of you. Trade agreement with Saddam. Sure. Sure, buddy. British airports had the symbol years before the Austrian painters, so they get a pass. Oh, 100%. I'm not saying that they're, like, you know, doing it for sus reasons. It's just funny, I think. Our industrial sector is starting to fall behind that of our neighbors and allies. We must change that. We will allocate some of our budget to Turkish companies so that they can do well on their own. 2 office sectors for 24 billion. Yet again, an absolute steal. Network-centric warfare. Doctrines are getting reworked, by the way. It's not in this version, though. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just funny. Because of, you know, the Austrian painter. Okay, we have completely removed corruption from Turkey entirely, despite still having a massive mafia. We're almost up to 2 trillion. Our budget's doing very well. Now we really need to go. Oh my God, we're in an economic boom. Okay, we are rolling now. Jesus. I am going to start decreasing the corporate tax rate with our political power now until we are running a very small surplus, which will allow more of our factories to be used for construction so we can start to grow quicker here. This is the construction space. We got to start moving on that. I wondered why they changed it. Probably political reasons. It just looks bad. It also has smaller arms than the German one. Just recently learned about it on a tank museum YouTube. They had a finished T-34 and had to explain that because it had it on them. The Catholics took Arabia in my mega campaign, and the Muslims answered with declaring a jihad on Iran. Dude, what year are you on right now? Productivity basically increases your production efficiency and output, and or decreases it. Same with your income. So if you have very high productivity, you get bonuses. If you have low productivity compared to the global average, so it takes the average of all countries, and then it will base that off the global average. As you can see, the average global productivity is 753, which we are right below. We're almost there. And it's growing very quickly. So if you're above it, you start to get bonuses. So it's supposed to represent the fact that more like modern economies are just more efficient and they make more money. It's a really cool feature. Millennium Dawn is the workshop, yes. This version won't be out for 3 weeks though. And it won't be save compatible too, so be warned. Okay. Oh yeah. Look at those factories. More office complexes. Also, population growth does matter now because of unemployment teachers and things like that. Just heads up. If your population growth outpaces your factory growth, you can have some problems now. Let's build a nuclear reactor. The racket provides clean and reusable energy to the Turkish people, and it must continue doing that. Extra funding will give them the ability to expand and grow. We will get a nuclear reactor, and we will get some, what is that? I recognize that. We will get some precious metals, too. Ricky 3 1.5? Yes, I haven't streamed it, but I played it. Just by myself. Doing some testing. And I wrote a couple tutorials. I don't know if I'll make them in time though for the update. Probably not. I'm really gonna work on all the Millennium Dawn videos for the update. When I'm done with those, I'm gonna work on some more Vic 3 tutorials. No idea when. The new update's weapon trading system combines with a mod is hilarious. It doesn't work. So, international market does not currently work with Millennium Dawn, and it's not going to after 1.9. Defense companies do work though. You can use a mod to enable it. Ooh, I'd be careful with that. I'd be careful. Yeah, we're losing fuel again because of all our new buildings. Need to import even more. What's our expectation? I think we need to go up on our education spending, which would be very little. We can do that right now, actually. Lots of bonuses, no real major economic cost to us, and we're expected to be at this level. Wow, we can actually just fund the whole thing. I'm gonna max out our education spending. I'm not role-playing, so I can do this, even though it pains me mentally. Look at that research speed bonus we've got. What are we up to now? Oh yeah. Should go up again. Saudi started selling weapons to the Taliban within the first day. Black. Can you play Millennium Dawn? Yes. Yep. 100%. It's easier if you add the mods that give you more building slots, especially, but even in base game, you definitely can. It's just you are limited primarily by your building slots. They do go up with time with your population growth, but like it's pretty slow. I don't know though. Population growth, I think it's got some changes with this update, so we'll see. Now we have to do the not fun ones again. This is also a very good place to end. I want to end a little bit. I got D&D in like 20 minutes, so I want to go grab some lunch before then. I'm going to end here for the day. We're going to continue this campaign over the next few weeks, probably a little while. I've been doing my own testing on single player, but I figured I'd just do a stream game of this too, because it's pretty fun, and why not? I want to try out the Ottoman Turks, so get to stream it. This will be casual. So I'll continue this next Saturday. Tomorrow I'm going to stream some more of the CK3 Republic campaign, which has been very interesting so far. And yeah, that'll be it for today, I think. Anyone I know to raid right now. I have a short one today. It'll be longer next week. Hopefully I can render my video files before goddamn noon. 7 hours for 1 minute of video. Ridiculous. Nope. I will end it here. All right, folks, I will be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST if you'd like to watch CK3. If not, hope you have a good rest of your weekend. I will catch you guys later.